and now Venezuela is mere hours from what could be a totally different future. His critics say democracy itself is at stake in today's nationwide vote. The opposition says it's fighting for freedom and food, and he doesn't understand how a country with the world's richest oil reserves now struggles to feed its own people. Our Paula Newton has the latest for us now, joining us from Caracus. Paula, during the months of unrest, we've seen more than 100 people have lost their lives, and just this weekend, more violence. What can you tell us about this political candidate who was killed?
Not a lot known right now. It was in the eastern state, Bolivar state. This man was apparently shot multiple times in his own home last night. She was saying the Attorney General's office here is investigating. But, Lynda, it really adds to the air of insecurity. Many people here are fearful. A lot of them have been just staying in their homes. And it's, again, there's a certain lawlessness combined with a threat many people feel from different political factions within their own communities. And, as I said, the Attorney General's office now investigating that. And that adds to the more than 100 people that have already been killed during protests in the last few months. Almost 2,000 injured now. We continue to see some sporadic violence today throughout Caracas and the rest of the country as people have started voting.
And Paula, we know as people head to the polls that looking at what the opinion polls suggest, most of the country is opposed to this election. You've been out at the polling booths. What's the turnout been like?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? You know, many people have said that just by holding this election, Maduro has already won. Having said that, turnout is important. I can tell you from having covered other elections in Venezuela, the turnout here in the areas I went to in Caracas was quite low. Not what it had been. That would be logical in the sense that the opposition has boycotted all of this. Still, those that have gone out are very clear as to why they're there. They believe this new super body, while critics say it will, in fact, mean a dictatorship here in Venezuela, they believe it's going to be something totally different. They believe it will bring peace here. Take a listen.
The Constituent Assembly threatens the interests of those countries who want to invade Venezuela in order to take our oil like they have done to Iran and Iraq.
You know, Maduro's comments have always been that they need this super body in order to protect the sovereignty, the territorial integrity of Venezuela, constantly harping at the fact that the U.S. is an enemy of this country and is a threat to this country because it's just looking for oil resources. And the people that we spoke to in the polls very much follow that range of thinking. The problem here, though, Lynda, is the fact that, you know, in terms of turnout right now, from what we can see, it will be quite low. We won't get the numbers until the early morning hours at least.
And Paula, the president of Venezuela voted earlier today, and as he did, he took a swipe at U.S. President Donald Trump. What did he say?
Well, I mean, he's always, as I said, pointing at Trump and saying that he is an imperialist, that he wants to invade Venezuela. A lot of what we had heard in that prior quote, and he's been ratcheting up that rhetoric the entire week, which has been more interesting to date, though, Lynda, is the response of the White House. They have said that just by holding this vote today, that Maduro's government is in the crosshairs for the American government and that they will respond with swift and strong economic action. An open question, Lynda, is will they actually go through the United States with putting sanctions on the oil that is exported out of Venezuela, and a lot of people are skeptical as to whether or not that will help.
Okay, we'll have to see. Paula Newton, we will talk to you very soon. Thank you so much for staying across all of that.